welcome to the Growth Advantage podcast. This episode we'll be speaking to Dr. Graham Clayton, CEO of the Society of Dyers and Colourists. The STC educates the world in the science of colour and offers a range of services, including membership, education and training, events, competitions and publications. Lovely to have you on the show, Graham.
Good to be here. Good to talk to you.
I'd love to get started, Graham, by asking you a bit about your business and the role that you play within it.
Right, so the business, as you mentioned, Society of Dyers and Colourists, we're a registered charity, but we do have a subsidiary trading company too, in fact. And my role is very much about the charity side of things. As chief executive, people ask me, what does your role entail? Essentially everything. And we are a smallish team. We've got 7 staff and a couple of staff look after the building that we have here. Everything from meeting with our investors, attending a lot of committee meetings because that's the way that we're structured and run, to ordering envelopes and an annual roll of order of toilet paper, for example. It's very wide and varied. Dinners in the City of London included.
Lovely. So a really interesting day to day for you, I imagine. Yeah. And so what kind of people and businesses do you work with?
The staff that we have are quite consistent. We've had them for a number of years. So we have people who have been here over 10 years, quite a number of them, myself included. I'm on my 13th year now. Yeah. But the people that we deal with are, because we're about colour, our mission statement now is about sharing knowledge and stimulating interest in colour. And that is very much focused on the textile industry and dyeing of textiles. So the people that we deal with used to just be in the UK. Textile industry went overseas. So we deal with people worldwide. I think it's 40 different countries that we have members in, some more than others. And some of those will have meetings locally and things as well. And that therefore ranges, because we've been going 140 years last year. It ranges from people who are just going through university, some students studying courses, to people who are well into retirement but still a member. So very varied again.
Fantastic. And what kind of training do you deliver?
The training we deliver is, because we are a Royal Chartered body, we can deliver up to degree level training. So that's been independently evaluated as the equivalent of an honours degree. But we have other courses below that as well. Our foundation and textile coloration certificates. For people more my age, it's more like the H&D, H&C. But we also have we have webinars and ongoing training and maybe training in the company setting itself. So these aren't particularly qualifications, but they're training, and that's one of the distinctions we make. Sometimes people study for a year or 3 years and get a qualification. Other times it's a course, maybe for an hour or a day or 2 days.
Yes. And so how do you deliver these services? I know you said sometimes you have webinars and in-house training. What other platforms or ways do you deliver that training?
Primarily now we deliver it online. Before COVID, so we already started that, but we were moving very much into that role. Or that mode of delivery. Historically, we worked with universities who put these courses on, and we awarded the qualifications. Very much in the UK they were. But the course numbers, I'm sure everybody's seen the stories in the news media, course numbers fall in, courses get dropped. And so there were fewer and fewer universities and colleges that we were working with in that mode. So we moved to delivering the courses ourselves. We had to separate out the delivery and the examination. So now we deliver online. As I say, we started that just before COVID, which was quite convenient because that's when everybody turned their attention to online meetings as well as training.
Yes. And how did that affect your business?
Similar to everybody else in many ways. And we haven't gone back like everybody else to what it was before. So in terms of the training and the qualifications, people are very much still doing those online. But we do deliver those around the world. So we can have people from Africa, from New Zealand, as well as people from UK taking part in sessions. Some of our sessions are delivered in real time online, and some sessions are recorded so people can do them at their own pace. And they have assignments and somebody who ensures that they're keeping on track, but it's more independent learning. Virtually all of our learners are employed, so they're learning and earning is the phrase that we use. So it's quite convenient for them because they're actually a bit of wage as well as being a student. But equally, they can. A bit of the stereotype is that they go into the factory, do some work, do some studying online, and in the afternoon they can put that into practice, can be implemented rapidly.
And regarding sort of the clients, the students that you work with, and the people that you're delivering the training, I know you said that obviously university uptake on courses, the dynamic has changed since COVID. So is it more heavily weighted now to the factory workers and that kind of employee training rather than students, or is it still a mix of both?
Certainly for us, it's almost exclusively people who are working and employed and
Right.
in factories. I know from universities they're all struggling. It's not just one particular course, but lots of them are struggling to get people to join their courses, particularly overseas students, as the overseas fees have gone up as well.
So that is a challenging climate for people trying to attract that kind of business. So I guess you've seen a shift then in the way that you attract clients to the courses, and how do you go about doing that now?
We do it in many different ways. The shift that we have seen, though, that's quite interesting, is that, and I'm not quite convinced if it's employees or employers, it seems to be both, moving towards shorter courses, so not something over a year or 3 years, but moving towards a sort of short course that would give them some knowledge that they can use. And also, there's a lot of talk about the practicalities of courses. If you're doing some actual sort of practical work, which obviously is a little bit more difficult online, we can do things that they can do in their factories, but generally the trend seems to be doing more theoretical courses and putting it into practice. But certainly people have shifted down from a 3-year course to a 1 year or a 1 month or a 1 day in preference. And I think that's probably a budgets and expenditure, really.
Yes, of course. And has that affected your sort of revenue overall across the company?
Yeah, fortunately, we have a variety of revenues, including, as I say, we've got trading company subsidiary, and that's where most of our income comes from. The revenues from membership of the organisation, unfortunately, have stayed quite static, and we did wonder if they would dip. We did see a little bit around COVID where people weren't sure about budgets, particularly companies and educational providers, we call them, universities and colleges. That seems to have recovered, but people are renewing, people are joining, so that's it's not really sort of growth yet, but we have last year achieved the bottom of the decline, I think. So the numbers have plateaued out.
Right, okay.
And now we are looking at growing our membership numbers. And those are the people that take some of our short courses and our longer courses as well. But that's certainly something we're now working on, and particularly down at the younger, the student end. They stay with us for many years.
And how are you going about achieving that growth? How are you reaching out to potential new clients?
We've tried to put ourselves into their shoes and think about how the students and new employees to companies that want to receive information and work with that. That's an ongoing task, but we've certainly seen a shift in our online promotion to things like Instagram, much more visual, for example. So people are engaging with that more. And certainly it's very much about the images and short video clips these days. So it's how people want to receive their news, their information, and being in the right places as well. We're also this year attending a conference exhibition in Singapore, which is the first for us for some time.
Oh, wow.
So we will be there meeting with companies that are attending and exhibiting, and trying to encourage them to put their employees onto our courses and join up as members.
Great. That sounds like an exciting opportunity, and I hope that goes really well for you. In the same vein, what does your competitive market look like right now?
Competitors are a little bit unusual in our market because there aren't many. In terms of membership organisations, not-for-profit organisations that offer training. There are one or two out there, not many of them in the same sector that are charter bodies. So, for example, we can award the status of chartered colourist, and we're the only body worldwide that can do that. The best sort of information I have on that, we're members of the Science Council, which, if people aren't aware, there's a Science Council organisation which has members that are membership organisations similar to ourselves. So there's quite a number of those.
Right.
The chief exec from those meet quite regularly, so we sort of share the challenges and the not so much the competitive side, but they're looking in different fields. And people have similar sort of issues. Very much is declining in all those organisations.
Right.
And training, yes, it's down to budgets and time available from people to attend.
And due to sort of these issues around people's budgets with businesses not wanting to or not having the ability to spend, perhaps like they did pre-pandemic, what changes have you made, if any, to your pricing or your market outreach?
One thing that we're just doing now, so if you imagine taking a sort of degree course, there's various modules. And so over the 3 years, you
Yes.
do a number of modules. When you've passed each one, then ultimately you get the qualification. We're just about to launch in September, October this year. Those modules are standalone. So somebody might want to only sort of learn
Right.
about one or two aspects, so they can take those. So that addresses the shorter courses, the smaller expenditure, because it's only for the one module or two modules. So we're looking at that, and there seems to be interest for that and
Right.
an appetite for it. We have people saying, "But I don't want to learn about that aspect," and of course you've got the opposite, people that don't want to learn the other way around. So we're making things available in bite-sized pieces, more bite-sized pieces.
Great. And I know, going back to your role within the business, I know you gave us an overview
Yeah.
of that earlier, and you obviously have many strings to your bow there. What kind of team do you have in place? And if you could add to that team to help perhaps delegate or take some of the parts of your job off of your shoulders, what would that look like?
One thing that we've done with the staff complement that we have at the Society over a number of years, starting before my time, in fact, is we've outsourced a lot of things. So the staff we have now are
Right.
very focused on the membership, the colour education, and those sort of things. So we've outsourced HR, finance, health and safety. So we have a raft of people. I think I did the sums that rather than being sort of 7 or 9 people, we'd be about 35, 40 if we employed them all in house. And COVID pushed that
Gosh.
as well. Our marketing department,
Yeah.
for example, was one thing where we made some people redundant due to COVID and reduced income, but equally we outsourced that.
Right.
So we work with agencies on that side. The advantage of working with agencies, in my view, is rather than having one or two staff internally, they have a whole team. And so they're doing their own
Yes.
training on that. It's the same with HR, same with finance. And equally, it's not my problem if one of their staff leaves. They do recruitment and everything. So it
Sure.
makes for a much richer sort of service, if you like. But yeah, the core things
Definitely.
that we do, we've not outsourced those. We very much keep those internal.
Great. And going forwards, I know you said, it's key is to grow the business and to sort of get that global outreach, as it were, to make sure that you maintain and grow your client numbers. What are the most important metrics for you right now to keep growing the business and going in the right direction?
I mean, the business growth, I guess financial metrics are, in my head because they're always important. Equally, we've just changed our bookkeepers and we just changed our accountancy software. So that's a live sort of work tasks for me at the moment to make sure that all goes through smoothly. We seem to be
Right.
doing well with it. That hopefully will fade as the months go on. Activity will still be there, but it won't be in my head as much. Aspects of what we should focus on is very much about the membership numbers. And that, to be honest, isn't really
Right.
a financial target. People pay for membership, but it isn't our biggest income stream. But we have committees with volunteers on who are members. We have people who take our courses who are members. So the more members we have, the more business we will have, the more income we will have. And the same with conferences and events,
Yeah.
putting those on. If you have members locally, you can get a successful event.
Yes, I guess it creates that organic growth. It gets that sort of outreach by word of mouth as
Yes,
well,
yeah,
and
certainly.
like that knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so looking to the future now, what would be your main goals for the next, say, 12 months?
For the next 12 months, it's, as I say, at the moment, getting the finance system, make sure it's sort of stabilised and smooth in the new provision.
Yes,
But certainly membership numbers, and tied around that,
membership.
we have, this event, this exhibition we're attending in Singapore, a very large international exhibition, so we can opportunity to meet a lot of people there. We have a design competition with students. We're having the final there at the same time, so
Wow.
there's that. So there's a number of activities through the year. We've also moved our annual event that we had. We had a awards ceremony, so people get their certificates, but also medals and other presentations,
Oh, great.
and then a celebration dinner, sort of black tie sit down dinner. We moved that. We had it in York for a number of years, and we moved it to Chester. So making sure over the next few months, it's very much about those events, making sure that they're attended, they're financially work, and
Yes.
the outcome is more engagement with members, but more members to engage with as well. So that's very much a this
Yes.
year target, because the membership number growth is it's taken a long time to stop the decline. The turnaround will be slow, and then hopefully in 3 or 4 years' time it will accelerate. The usual sort of graph, it's going to dip and then comes up and steepens out.
Yes. And it sounds like you've got some really good events coming up. How are you promoting those events to sort of make sure that you get as much awareness out there as possible?
Yeah, some of our events are quite member focused, although they can bring other people along with the guests along with them.
Right.
It's trying to create anticipation and also address concerns. I think there were several reasons for moving this annual event that we have from York to Chester, and one of them was we've held it in York for a number of years, and I think people have got sort of fairly familiar with it. So I maybe
Yeah.
thought it's very good, but I'll give it a miss this year. So we're trying to create a lot of anticipation and expectation, so getting the information about what the venue is like, what's happening at the venue. Equally, something this year that we're doing is for the awards ceremony. People have known that there's an awards ceremony. They find out who are getting the awards when they turn up. Apart from the recipients, they're aware.
Ah,
But
okay.
so we're trying to promote that as well and say this person, here's a profile, and his person, and so they know who they're coming to see receive an award. And of course, it's good for that individual as well, to bring other people along, and
Yes.
people will start to network so they can see what they've been doing and things. So it's very much an online thing these days. I don't know when we last really did anything printed. Our magazine is online
Right.
and things as well. And it's what I've said in the past is if we go on about it often enough that we start to get bored of hearing ourselves, our members and non-members are going to probably just be starting to listen. So you do have to repeat, and sometimes that's in slightly different ways for your own sanity as well.
Yes. And what have you, other things that you've tried, methods you've used for outreach that perhaps haven't worked so well?
We've the one that frustrates me a little bit because historically is what the society did is getting members to talk to other members. I think we are making progress on that, but
Oh, okay.
again, you've got to keep nagging people until you're fed up of hearing yourself and they're just starting to listen. Because personal recommendations is anything. If you want a restaurant and somebody suggests, "Oh, go there," it's very good. Personal recommendations are very important to people. So getting our members to
Yeah.
talk about the society to others is what historically happened, and we're trying to generate that more. So, I wouldn't say it's not worked. It's just been a hard task, and it's making sure that they tell their network about it, such as putting the membership on LinkedIn, for example, on their profiles.
Right. And with your outreach, obviously you're UK based, but you've got a global outreach, and I guess you've got a presence in multiple countries. And which would you say is more important to you to grow? Would it be that sort of wider global outreach?
Um, it's a difficult one to answer that. We don't have staff in many other countries. We've got one member of staff who works in India for a subsidiary we have there. He covers Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, and there's activity there. And certainly in that part of the world, it's very useful to have somebody going and meeting people. So it's not just a face on the screen like this, but they've met them and maybe they've
Yes.
had a meal with them and a chat with them and things. In Europe and things, I think it's less important, but certainly the
Right.
exhibition that we go into is an international one. So meeting people that we might not have met for 2 or 3 years, it's a very good touch point with that to make sure that they feel valued and that we make that connection. They don't forget us.
And with the event in Singapore, how often do you do an event like that where you go overseas?
We go overseas less than we used to, even with trying to get staff to go out more. People want to do meetings online, so we do less travel than we
Yeah.
did pre-COVID. Because a meeting online is the meeting of choice for most people these days. Less travel. I can have meetings with India and America in the same day and still be working from my desk. But the going overseas, we've attended one exhibition in India this year. My deputy went there, and say we're going out to Singapore. So we do them across the year. It varies by year. We had 3 conferences in the UK last year because it was our anniversary year. But they're certainly important. but it's something you
Yes.
need to work at to make sure that you get round and meet people rather than just stand in one place.
Of course, yes, and going back to your courses and your training that you do deliver, I know that you said a lot of it's delivered online now, and that you do also offer some sort of hands-off training. How does that work? Where so it's not having to be face-to-face delivered.
The practical side of the work, as I say, the people who are taking our courses are very much working in companies. And so they have facilities available to them, such as laboratory, production line, so they can actually do a little testing and see how this works and how they can control things to help them understand it more. So it's not that difficult for them. What the issue is with it is that they may only be doing natural fibers or synthetic fibers, and only be doing, say, upholstery for seats as opposed to garments. So they're, because of the nature
Right.
of their company, it may be restricted in that. And certainly we've had people before visit other companies to see how it's done and learn from each other.
Great. And so I guess those kind of training packages are good because you don't have to have a member of staff delivering them. So do you try and sort of encourage people to take on that kind of that hands-off training packages?
Well, as I say, the courses we have, the degree level one is done. People study it in their own time. So we have a member of staff who sets that up, monitors it, updates the modules and things. So that one's very much done online and not in face to face. The other courses are delivered in real time with someone online with staff, and so that is because the people taking those are less familiar with studying and learning. And so there's a
Right.
fair amount which actually isn't the chemistry of color, let's say, but it's about how to research things, how to quote things, the approach to problems, how you would break that down and tackle it. So they're quite across the board skills. It doesn't have to be just for our courses. You could use them for other things as well. So we very much
Right.
have those interactions. We did have in the past sessions where we got all the students to come together. They very much valued that. They liked that. The problem is people have to travel quite some distance for that.
Yes.
And it's not always possible if we're doing a course with people in New Zealand, for example, or Canada. But it certainly has a value, the face to face. And I think a lot of that, when we had them here in this building, for example, wasn't particularly, it was about the laboratory work and the practical work, but it was about the kitchen and the coffee and biscuits and lunch. It was those sort of
Yeah.
conversations of people building their networks and connections and discussing how they dealt with that problem and this problem.
Right. And so do you, I know you say, you have several events like the year. So do you hold any of the events actually at your base where you are?
We do very few of them, to be honest. We have regions, and so there's a northern region, and they will hold events here. We have space in this room that I got at the moment. A lot of the time, though, they're held at other places. The next northern region event actually is down in Bradford City Centre, celebrating VE Day, so they're having some food and drink with that as well as their AGM.
Lovely.
But again, those sort of meetings of people, there's quite a social aspect to it, and that's where the bonds are made.
Yes.
And certainly when you talk to our older members, we have a category of 50-year members. So if people have been in membership for 50 years, it becomes free for the rest of their life. And I think it was last
Oh,
year we
that's
had
great.
16 50-year members. In other words, that's 800
Wow.
years of
Impressive.
experience just in those individuals. So they didn't all know each other, the 16, but certainly they were well known amongst other members and each other. But there's quite a network. It's the forerunner of LinkedIn and Facebook and all those sort of things. So
Yes.
having the in-person meetings are important, but sometimes it doesn't have to be here. What we are having in this building now, though, is we've got a textile archive, so we have a lot of
Right.
artifacts, publications that have been acquired, given, left to us over the years. To be honest,
Wow.
we in total we don't know what we've got, but we have a lot of things. And we now have a member of staff who's archiving those, cataloguing them, putting them on an online. It's on our website as well, so people can view those. But we get university groups coming in to have a look at those for inspiration for their projects, and also companies interested
Wow.
in looking at designs from many years ago to get inspiration for their products as well. So whilst it sounds sort of museumy and history, which it is, it also has a direct link into education and product development today.
That absolutely sounds so fascinating. I can imagine it's really it pulls people in. I can imagine it's like a treasure trove
But
of,
yeah,
like you say, past, present, and all sorts in between. It sounds amazing. I'm sure I'd love to come and have a look at that one day. It sounds really, really interesting. And before we sort of come to the end of the podcast, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about your business, about events that may be coming up, where to find you, or anything else at all?
where to find us, the best place is online. We have a website which is sdc.org.uk. There's links on there to the textile archive as well. So, if you want to have a look, you can have a look at those through the links. And there's items being added all the time. We're trying not to just add an item that is acquisition 1, 2, 3, but to get some of the backstories to it as well. So some of the blogs are quite useful to look at, and some of the podcasts we do, interviews with people who've donated things and getting the history there of what they actually meant at the time and what we can learn from them today. So certainly have a look at the website, and there's contact details down there. We are very much about, as I say, sharing knowledge and stimulating interest in colour. Whilst I've talked a lot about textiles, we're keen to expand that, and we do have people in
Right.
other sectors. So it's not a new thing for us, but we're trying to keep the textile focus, but expand it as well into other areas such as food and pharmaceuticals and plastics.
Oh,
And all.
right.
The thing about colour is it is in everything, and even if you want something
Yes.
that is clear, you want no colour. So you could say, no, you still need to focus on colour there to get it very transparent. You want no colour in there, for example. So have a look at the
Yes.
website. Have a look on the LinkedIn and Instagram, follow us on there, and you'll see some of the things that we get up to. And you're very welcome to contact us and join us.
Lovely. That's really interesting to hear from you, Graham. And thank you so much for taking time today to tell us about the society and to share the insights that you've given us today. It's been really interesting hearing about it, and I wish you every success for the future of the society. Thanks very much for your time today.
Thanks very much, Rebecca.